Vin Diesel, the soul of Fast and Furious, has exploded on social media. Recently, a list of actors he can't even cross paths with has been leaked, and some are very, very famous, including former co-stars. And yes, believe me, you won't expect who they are. 1. Dwayne Johnson. Everything exploded during the filming of Fast and Furious 8, but the bomb had been building for much longer. For the public, Dwayne Johnson's arrival was a breath of fresh air, muscle, charisma, and a new rival worthy of Dom Toretto. But behind the cameras, that combination was an explosive mix. Dwayne, who came from dominating WWE and starring in blockbusters like San Andreas and Jumanji, arrived with professionalism and humility. He was ready to work as a team, but what he found was a closed environment dominated by a single voice: Vin Diesel. According to set technicians and various production members, Vin had a habit of showing up late, changing scenes without notice, arguing with decisions already made by the director, and not accepting suggestions. Everything had to go through him. If he didn't like something, it got changed, even if it had already been rehearsed or filmed, commented one of the production assistants. At first, Dwayne took a deep breath. He took it calmly, but the respect wasn't mutual. The straw that broke the camel's back came when Vin, in the middle of a tense day, overruled a fight scene without discussing it with the team, just because, according to him, it didn't make him look strong enough. Dwayne held on until he couldn't anymore, and he said it, not in a private meeting, not by email, but on Instagram. Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't, he wrote. He didn't name names. He didn't need to. The entire crew and half of Hollywood knew who he was talking about. The strongest part was what happened afterward. In Fast 8, there isn't a single real scene where Vin and Dwayne share the same frame. They were all edited with montage tricks and separate cameras. A multi-million-dollar budget and an international crew adapted because of a personal conflict. For Fast 9, Universal wanted to bring them back together, but Dwayne was clear: "I'm not coming back if Vin is there." There was no deal, no attempt at reconciliation. Since then, their relationship has been broken. They're not even mentioned together in the 10th installment, a rift so deep that not even marketing could hide it. 2. Tyrese Gibson. For years, Tyrese Gibson was one of Vin Diesel's most loyal supporters. In interviews, he called him brother. On social media, he defended him from criticism. He was part of the franchise's strong core. But everything changed in 2017, and the betrayal didn't come from an enemy, but from the boss himself. When Universal announced the Hobbs & Shaw spin-off starring Dwayne Johnson, Tyrese exploded. But his fury wasn't against The Rock, it was against Vin. Why? Because, as it became known, Vin didn't just give the green light to the project, he was the one who pushed for it. And that for Tyrese was like being stabbed in the back. The problem wasn't the spin-off itself, but the consequences. Fast 9 was delayed a full year. That meant a pause for all the main cast actors. And yes, it also meant not getting paid for longer. Tyrese, who was going through financial problems, experienced it as a double betrayal. On his social media, Tyrese was direct. He called Vin fake, manipulative, and said the word family had become a farce. Where did the loyalty go? He wrote, "Does family only matter when you come out winning?" The post went viral. The press talked about internal war. Some fans sided with Tyrese. Others saw it as a desperate attack. But within the team, the atmosphere never returned to normal. Since then, Tyrese and Vin maintain a strictly professional relationship. No dinners, no photos outside the set, just script and cut. Even during Fast X press tours, Tyrese's representatives asked that he not be assigned joint interviews with Vin. The on-screen chemistry is actors' work, but trust, that was broken forever. 3. Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez has been part of Fast and Furious DNA since the beginning. Letty Ortiz isn't just Dom's girlfriend, she's the rebellious soul, the woman who never gives up. But not even Michelle could ignore what was happening behind the scenes any longer. In 2017, after finishing the promotion of The Fate of the Furious, she posted a message that shook everyone. "I hope the next installment shows a little more love to the women of the saga. If not, maybe I'll say goodbye." She was direct, honest, and very clear. Although she didn't name names, everyone understood her message was directed at the center of power, Vin Diesel. For years, Michelle had asked for more development of female characters, more real dialogue, more depth, but her suggestions were ignored. The story always revolved around Dom, and what she felt as a family at the beginning had transformed into a structure controlled by one person. According to a production source, Michelle had private meetings with screenwriters and producers to discuss the issue, but the ideas remained under review eternally. No one dared to directly confront Vin. Her social media posts changed everything. Universal panicked, and Vin, pressured by the studio, agreed to changes. Scenes were added for Letty, dialogues were rewritten, but the damage was done. Since then, Michelle continues in the saga, but not with the same energy. She accepts the projects, fulfills press duties, smiles in photos, but on set, there's distance. With Vin, conversations are minimal. The connection that was once genuine now seems like just part of the script. 4. Justin Lin. Justin Lin was more than a director. He was the silent engineer of a franchise many had written off after the third installment. With Fast 5, the saga was reborn. With Fast and Furious 6, it was consolidated. When he returned for Fast X, it was assumed everything was under control. But no, 1 week into filming, Justin Lin quit. Just like that, no beating around the bush. An exit that cost the studio millions in delays, schedule adjustments, and an emergency replacement. Why did he do it? Because he couldn't take it anymore. According to team sources, Justin suffered constant pressure from Vin, script rewrites without notice, last-minute location changes, even arguments about dialogue lines during filming. Someone close to production summarized it like this: Justin wasn't directing anymore. He was just executing what Vin said, and that, for a director of his level, is unacceptable. The final straw was a fight in front of the producers. Vin interrupted Lin in the middle of an explanation and told him, "That's not what I want to show." Lin took a deep breath, stayed silent, and minutes later left the set. He never came back. His name remained in the credits, but the film had to be finished by someone else. Lin didn't give interviews. He didn't write letters. He just disappeared. And that silence, for many, was more eloquent than any scandal. 5. Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa came to Fast X with enthusiasm. He was fresh off being Aquaman, having starred in global hits, and was ready to join a legendary saga. But as soon as he set foot on set, he noticed things were different. From day one, he felt watched. Any suggestion he made had to pass through Vin's filter first. If he wanted to improvise a line, he had to consult it. If a scene wasn't flowing, he didn't talk to the director. He talked to Vin. At first, he tried to adapt, but soon he realized nothing could move without the protagonist's approval. It was like acting within a closed system. You couldn't breathe without someone taking note, commented a source close to the actor. After the premiere, Momoa, always diplomatic, dropped a phrase that left everyone thinking. There were difficult moments. I'll leave it at that. It was brief, but those who know his way of working know it wasn't casual. According to insiders, Momoa has already said privately that he has no intention of returning, that he enjoyed the character, but the on-set experience was too controlled, too tense. And for someone who values creative freedom, that was enough to close the chapter. 6. John Cena. When it was announced that John Cena would play Jacob Toretto, Dom's lost brother, in Fast 9, many thought it was a brilliant move. Cena was on the rise in Hollywood, with action movies, comedies, and an impeccable reputation for his work ethic. And his image, strong but accessible, fit perfectly with the saga's spirit. But behind that highly publicized union, a cold reality was hidden. The connection between Cena and Vin Diesel never never existed. At first, Cena arrived with humility. He presented himself as the new guy, showed respect for the veterans, and said publicly he was grateful to be part of the family. But on set, the dynamic was tense from day one. Team sources assure that Vin saw him as a presence imposed by the studio and didn't integrate him into the team with the same enthusiasm as other actors. During filming, the shared moments between both were strictly professional, no jokes, no conversations off camera. They seemed like two people acting in parallel, said a camera operator. I never saw Vin greet him with affection. It was like he wanted to make clear who was in charge. One of the most commented points was a key scene where the two characters had a physical confrontation. Cena, professional and detail-oriented, asked to rehearse the choreography several times to avoid accidents, but Vin showed impatience. Do it as it is. It's not that complicated, he allegedly said. According to witnesses, the atmosphere became tense to the point that they decided to reduce the duration of that sequence to avoid more friction.